Hi everyone, I'm Derek, but I also go by MeSkeptic online, and this is the first real life video I'm making. I'm not very comfortable with speaking or showing my face online because I've only done it a couple of times. It's taken me a really long time to get comfortable with my image being public, but I thought it would be a good idea to do something like this for some reason. First, I want to say I'm sorry if there's a lot of cuts in this video. I'm not the best with speaking clearly, and I have really low self-esteem, and I haven't been talking to anyone lately. In this video, I kind of just wanted to start on sharing some things about myself, and in the next video, I plan on sharing my journey and how I grew up playing video games and following a lot of different people that I looked up to. If I make more videos, I'm going to try to stay consistent with Saturdays because it's my favorite day of the week, and maybe I'll call it Skeptic Saturdays or something. But looking back on my life, I've always kind of been like a really shy kid, and I really came across as an introverted kid on the surface. Like, there's probably been weeks where I've only said a few words, and it's kind of always been an issue of mine. Throughout school, it was really difficult for me to speak to other people without blowing up red and sweating a lot, and I couldn't even handshake or high five anyone because just even the idea of it would make my hands sweat a lot. So I was kind of like the fist bump guy in school to the few people who were kind to me. During my years in preschool, I remember hiding in the corner at the crafts table and making DIY kites and origami at the back left of the classroom. During the times that all of us students were gathered in the front of the class, I just remember playing with my water balloon that was filled with air and just kind of staying focused on that. Growing up, I really liked candy, and I remember at the entrance door in preschool there was an ABCs board, and I remember the only time I really spoke in preschool was when I would call over the teacher and she would reward me a piece of candy if I could finish singing the ABCs by myself. As a kid who ate a lot of candy, I wonder if that small thing that made me happy was actually the thing that was keeping me from feeling confident and normal. In elementary school, I was shy as well, and I didn't feel too comfortable playing with other kids, so I just kept to myself, and I was playing tetherball mostly by myself, and or just finding a random place to stand and standing there all recess period. During South Dakota winters in elementary school, I was bundled up in snow pants and a snow coat, and I kind of just remember being really claustrophobic and uncomfortable in those years. Some days I was waiting in the area where we would wait to just go inside because I wasn't comfortable going anywhere else, like on the outside pavement or playgrounds. I remember the first day of first grade at my first elementary school, I accidentally walked into a fifth grade class, and I just felt really scared and confused how I got there. I kind of always just was like a lost kid who didn't know what he was doing. I switched elementary schools because my parents were moving, and that was kind of like the start of my experience of having maybe one or two friends before getting cut off quickly. When I began third grade at a different school, it was the start of my anxiety and many years of where I started sweating a lot and I couldn't control my nerves. I remember always biting my nails during class and in between class, and with my nails always being super chipped and red. I always remember looking back, hiding my nails and sitting on my hands and being scared of people looking at them. Art class was when I was the most scared because that's when I had to use my hands a lot. So all of that combined with the nerves and sweat I'd leave on the tables from my hands and arms was a really scary experience. In the future, I think around late middle school is when I started to stop biting my nails, and that was when I really started to love art class like I did in preschool, and it really started to become one of my favorite classes again. Starting middle school was really difficult as well. It was kind of the period where I had a couple friends I could hang around with, but a lot of them were troublemakers and got in trouble with vapes and fights and poor grades. But I always wanted to be my best, and I still felt unhealthy and thought that like no one liked me. So I just hung around those people who didn't make me feel like I was less than normal. During middle school, I had to ride the bus home because it was too far away for me to walk, and I kind of sat towards the back of the bus. Um, my younger brother always had a friend who sat at the way back of the bus, and he always picked on me and got on my nerves. And one day he was picking on me more than usual. One day I tried to stand up for myself and tried to argue back, but he grabbed me and he beat me up. I remember him putting me in a choke and I couldn't breathe. He slammed my head against the left side window on the bus, and I kind of sat towards the back right of the bus, so that kind of shows he really messed me up. I remember no one like saying anything, and I kind of just went mute because I was in so much shock from what happened. And um, from from that point on, for a few weeks, I just remember not saying anything, and he never got in trouble for it. Freshman year of high school was like my worst year mentally because I had very bad cystic acne, and it wasn't the worst I've seen, but it was the worst in my very large class of 497 people. It was the most embarrassing time of my life as my classmates were growing up and becoming more confident, and I had dry, oily combination skin, and there were so many kids who said I looked like cookie dough. One person who I thought was my friend, he said, "What the hell is that?" as he was just pointing at my face. And but the worst and most consistent was just a lot of people calling me pizza face at the lunch table, and everyone just either laughed or stayed silent. Freshman year, I had this world geography class, and one day I was looking down, following the footsteps of the person in front of me, and that was because I didn't really know anyone in the area. Um, and in that area, I had to take a long path across the school to my E-Wing class, which was my art class. I accidentally bumped into the shoe of the guy in front of me, and in like an instant, he grabbed my shoulders and he spun me and threw me like 8 feet down the hallway. It was another moment of shock, like, why has this happened to me? It was a small accident, and he yelled at me not to try to trip him. And if you knew me in high school, you would know that I just looked like the most innocent, insecure kid who had a lot of acne. I got up and I didn't see anyone I knew from my geography class, so I just moved forward to my E-Wing art class. But the next day after leaving class, there was two kids who stepped up and walked with me down that hallway for a little bit, saying they won't let that guy do that to me again. I was sure no one in my geography class saw that, and it was like the first time someone my age actually was caring about me, and it was like the only thing that showed me there was good people in the world. I remember my acne getting better sophomore year, but my self-esteem was still completely crushed. I still had sensitive skin and scars and much worse anxiety than really anyone I knew. I remember sophomore year I had a speech class with mostly freshmen, and I didn't know most of them, and they were all healthier than me. The first thing in that speech class was the teacher had us all hold hands and make circles and split and make different circles. It might have been the second most embarrassing thing of all time for me, right before the actual speeches. I remember one of the speech assignments we had, most of the students went before me, and some were shy, but most of them were fine. When it was my turn, in the moment I heard my name and started to stand up, I started to feel like the worst tension in my life. It was like a moment filled with blur and sweat and super red face and just being terrified to present in front of everyone. I really don't remember any of those sophomore year speeches, and I think they were just kind of washed away from my memory. but I'm still kind of surprised how I actually survived that speech class. Sophomore year ended early because of the COVID lockdown, so we had to finish half of the school year online and bring our Chromebooks back after the summer. I don't really have much to say about my junior year of high school. It was kind of my first year of growth and comfort for me. Senior year, I took all AP classes, which was a mistake because it was the start of my zero fun years and depression, and it just seemed like every time something good happened to me, I made a decision that was bad. I really thought I was a loser in high school because I had no friends throughout it, and there was only a few things I liked about school, like trying new things, new experiences, and the potential for making new friends. But I also had a lot of anxiety and not much passion for studying most topics, and the classes I did well in were okay because they helped me keep my peace. But most classes I really struggled to learn in because I just didn't have a lot of passion for it, and people would just judge me or think I wasn't smart because I didn't do well in those classes. Looking back now, I remember a younger version of myself having zero drive or passion for most things I was learning in high school. For the classes I knew I was doing, I kind of forced myself to get all my work done at school because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get it done at home. Because all I really enjoyed doing was watching movies, my favorite creators, and playing Xbox. So this kind of left me with a lot of isolation and loneliness my whole life. Looking back on everything, it was kind of hard for me to build relationships and communicate with people clearly most of my life. The more I lived in South Dakota, the more I hoped I could just find people that I could get along with, and I just wish I knew more people like me, and that's all I really wanted in life, and it was difficult. And it seems like I just really never knew how to feel and how to fight or even how to cry. And I guess after all those moments of derealization and fear, that I just still trying to find what makes me happy and leave everything else that I'm embarrassed of behind. I know everyone has a God-given skill and everyone has something they were made for, and some people will find it and pursue it and learn how to be happy. A lot of my experiences kind of just taught me to never lose hope and just do whatever it takes to keep your spirit alive and prioritize health and well-being. And I hope by staying away from drugs and alcohol that it'll help me stay myself and stay me, and it'll help me search for community because all I ever really wanted was to have fun. If you've ever been beaten up or felt like you have been betrayed by the world, and it leads to moments where you never wanted to talk to anyone anymore and overall have felt silence, remember that you are not alone, and there's people out there who are experiencing the same things. Hope isn't all lost, and there's still a bright future for you, and I don't know, stick to you and never letting go. Thank you guys for watching. This has kind of been my story, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.